It's the Movie Toasty Show, here for you. Dennis and Adam joke about orgasms and sweet movie reviews. We talk about TV too, right?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah! Movie Toast.
Hey, what's up, Adam?
Hey, man, how's it going? Episode 189, Dennis. How's it going today, man?
Not bad. It's
Nice.
been a mixed bag of news lately, though. I do want to mention at the top of the show, here in LA, since moving here, I've been watching KTLA News like since it first started. For some reason, that was just the one I stuck with. Those folks are fantastic over there. Unfortunately, their entertainment reporter passed away suddenly this last week, and he had great movie reviews. He had incredible interviews with celebrities, and then that was one of the cool things about him is the celebrities around LA knew him, so he would walk the carpet and they'd be coming up to him to talk to him. And so it's really great guy. His heart goes out to his family, and it's been great seeing all the love LA has for Sam Rubin.
And what's his name? Sam Rubin, right? Yeah, you just said
Sam
it,
Rubin.
sorry.
Yeah.
He was fairly young. He was like in his 50s or 60s, right?
64. Yeah, that's not old,
Damn.
man. That's
Yeah, that's rough.
Tragic loss. We're gonna miss you, Sam, but we're gonna keep.
Well, what I'm hearing is
movies.
there is a opening over at KTLA. You're saying,
Jesus
so you're saying
Christ.
we gotta jump in that hot seat while it's available. Gotta up our game. Head on over there
on the short list, but let's see if we can get ourselves on there too.
But we're not on that list yet, so we gotta pave the way. Speaking of entertainment deaths, did you hear that Roger Corman passed away as well?
Yeah, it was like the next day.
98. Yeah.
And that was like that was the first thing I thought. I was like, fuck, I know like Sam would have loved to have done a great tribute for Roger Corman, because he would be the one to put those together when there would be some sort of like entertainment loss like that. And it's like, I mean, that guy ended up
hundreds of movies directed, produced, gave so many talented actors, actresses, and directors their first shots. And he was working all the ways to the very end. Like he was developing and working on with Joe Dante a brand new Little Shop of Horror, because he, of course, directed the original one with Jack Nicholson. And so it's like 98 years old and still fucking working till the very end.
And he provided such inspiration for so many like very impactful filmmakers. I know I was watching a lot of Rob Zombie's posts lately of he's clearly very crushed after that loss, because the effect of Roger Corman's movies on Rob Zombie's taste and the films that he makes, man.
Sure.
Like it's that generational carryover, you know, that inspiration, and will be missed. We'll have to watch some solid B movies coming up here, I think.
He's got a couple of good movies. I mean, what? He did the original Piranha, the Little Shop of Horrors, fucking Death Race 2000, was it?
Yeah. Let's say but those schlocky things are fun though. I like
Attack
that.
of the
I like
50-foot
shit.
woman or 100-foot?
Yeah.
Oh,
50
man.
foot, I think.
And just like genuinely a film lover. Oh man, two people taken too soon. Couldn't have held out for a sweet 100 for that guy or the other guy.
Century Club,
what a lost.
We'll be missed, but we will keep talking movies and their names.
That's for sure.
That's what
not on KTLA.
About.
Yeah,
no, but here,
but
where
right here,
where our show
for our 7 listeners. Thank you all. We appreciate it. We will keep trekking on in the name of the fallen. Oh, man.
There we go.
We got some new stuff happening in this episode, Dennis. We're premiering 2 new songs. And
I'm so excited to share that stuff, dude. Oh, my God.
We're reviewing some new movies, of course. Some good, some bad, all around scores.
Some in between. Yeah. Oh, I know I'm going to have a couple of stinkers. I don't know why I'm almost more excited. Like I get so critical when it's like a 4 slicer, because I'm like, wait a minute, this can't be this can't be that good, right? There's got to be something wrong. And I'm like, no, wait, I can't genuinely think of anything. I guess it is a four
Right.
slicer, but when it's a zero, it's just like this
Yeah.
fucking thing sucks. It just like it's kind of gets you fired up.
Right.
Like
It's funny. I love when like people will ask me for like my take on movies. And it's like, well, clearly you know that I do have this podcast where I review movies and I put out daily reviews. But yeah, you
Right.
just you'll pretend like, oh, I'll
the
just ask one of
Instagram,
my
you were
buddies asked
literally
me.
just
Yeah.
like
One
the
of my
Instagram, you were
buddies
just
asked me
scrolling
about two
through, you
movies
could have
the other
answered that
day.
question.
Exactly. I should have just sent links. And one of my buddies is like, hey, did you see Civil War? I'm like, yeah, weeks ago.
Oh my god.
And did you see Tarot? I'm like, yeah, I did. I liked them both. They were fine.
Yeah.
And then like he's like,
Yes,
I
yeah,
saw
4,
Tarot. The movie was fucking terrible. And he was tearing it apart. I'm like, I get that, but it worked for me. Sorry you didn't like it. And that's why you don't
Right.
follow my podcast, apparently. Thanks. And
It's-
it's just
it
hard
should be-
explaining to people. Like, I see movies when they come out. I don't wait a month. I don't wait for them to come on TV, man.
Oh yeah.
I go see
yeah.
them opening weekend. I support that shit. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And talk of the cock. Is that a saying? I don't know. Fucking
Should
have you
be.
seen for the past 2 or 3 weeks? A little movie called Shrek has been killing it in the top 10 of Netflix. Not only once, but twice. He's been in the top 10 for multiple weeks with Shrek and Shrek Forever After. So there's a lot of
Oh
Shrek
my
love
God.
out there.
There you go.
It's
See,
alive.
Shrek level is not going away. I don't think Shrek's one of those
No.
characters that isn't going to fully go away for a very, very long time. All of
You can
us,
try.
our entire generation will have had to pass on. We have to be that far away at least. Let's give it like
Yeah.
maybe 100 years, and then people might not remember him. But
I
It'll
didn't
take
know
that long.
over in England there's a fucking Shrek experience, like the Shrek tour
oh,
or something, and it only costs like 20 euros. And I'm like, God damn it! I
Oh.
heard nothing but bad reviews, but boy, do I wish I could go and check it out.
we know where Adam's going for his next vacation, huh?
Yeah, and I
Shitty
think in
Shrek
like
experience.
also I think somewhere in like Pennsylvania or New Jersey, there's a DreamWorks indoor water park where there's a large Shrek slide, and I'm like, I
Oh.
want to go there too.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
probably look like a
I feel like I've
pedophile.
heard of that.
But I don't care as long as I'm riding the big green guy. I don't care who else is there.
Just borrow one of your
I'm
friends'
in it for
kids.
the ride.
Just
Yeah.
hey, I need
Yeah.
I need this one. I got to get into a children's water park.
I've
Don't worry about
already
it.
offered up my services to take kids to the movies so I don't look like a creep going to the movies to see movies by myself. But instead, I'm like, yeah, let me just take your small child to the movies. And they're like, yeah, definitely. It's like, you just say no. You don't trust me? You think I'm going to take them into an R-rated movie? No, I see them all. Speaking of which, coming soon, are you ready for the great return of Garfield and Chris Pratt? Coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh, Jesus.
If,
I've been driving by the bright as fuck orange bus bench down my street for like
If
a
you
month.
got a AMC theater near you this upcoming Sunday, I'm going to say, what is it? We're on the 13th now. So the 17th or 18th or 19th, whatever that Sunday is, there's an early advanced screening of Garfield, and you get a little Garfield squishy toy. And I saw on Instagram, there are Garfield robots roaming the streets of Los Angeles. Have you seen any? It just looks like a giant
No.
brick, it kind of reminds me of like an ice cream cooler on like
Is
a
it
robotic
so it's one of
wheel.
those, yeah, is it one of those fucking automated delivery companies?
It
It's
looks
just a
like it.
little
I don't
robot
know,
that drives around. That makes sense.
but it looks
Wow.
cool. Yeah,
Probably Santa
movie looks
Monica.
like shit, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
can see
100%.
that. I'm gonna
100%.
see it, but it's gonna suck.
100%.
I'd love it if it didn't
200%.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anything
Well,
else you
man.
get before we roll over to our
No, I
one
I'm
of our
ready for some
segments? Our
polls.
first segment. There we go. Let's do it.
Polls.
What really works for that song is the fact that it's just the same inflection of polls. None of our other takes, just one take each. Just
It
played at
becomes a
different
part of the
intervals.
beat. It
It does.
becomes a part
It's
of the music.
melodic.
It's not a lyric, it's the sound. Yeah.
It
Agreed.
follows in
That's
the vein
one of
of
my
my
favorite.
other top hit song, OT. Like it's just in that same vein. Not as catchy as OT, but it's up there.
I'd say
Anywho,
it. Yeah.
the audience has no clue what the fuck I'm
Deep
talking
cut.
about.
Deep cut.
Let's get into this first set of polls here. On last
Let's do
week's
it.
episode, and by last week's, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, or I don't know, whatever interval you listen to this podcast or watch it at. We both reviewed the latest Bill Skarsgård film, Boy Kills World, which I think is already out of theaters, might already be on VOD, and it's only been 3 weeks. It's crazy. So anyway, I went over to X and put up a poll asking what the Toasties' favorite Bill Skarsgård movie was out of John Wick Chapter 4, Barbarian, It. Either Chapter 1 or 2, I don't give a fuck, your choice. Or if you want to think about the old school one, that too, I don't give a fuck. And Atomic Blonde. You got any take on any of these?
I don't often confuse Tim Curry with Bill Skarsgård, but I can understand.
I don't know. Maybe Bill could have had a stroke and a weird little Englishish accent.
Time traveled to being older.
Little do we know, he was really a time traveler. He just really was a fan of the first Home Alone movie, and he went back in time so he could audition. But in the time continuation, fucking spare of the world, he transformed into Tim Curry, and then we finally caught up to his younger self. And Tim Curry, that's why Tim Curry isn't around anymore, really, because he's become young. He found the fountain of youth, and we lost a viewer on that. So, anyways, what's your take on these?
I was gonna say I really enjoyed Barbarian. That was a fucked up, unique experience that I thought he did a great job, especially coming off of he did a couple of movies where he was the antagonist, or at least he was on the bad guy team in some capacity. And so to see him play sort of the good guy in that was cool. But
in this one, you kind of get the vibe that he could be the bad guy for a while. And you're waiting for him to be the bad guy. But he's just a sweetheart.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, those first 15, 20 minutes when they're just figuring out just who, we both booked this house, that all that shit. I liked that tension because you knew it was going to go off the fucking rails, but
100%. But you didn't know the extent.
Yeah, exactly. But I would still say It. That was so fucking creepy, and the fact that he was able to get to that place. I mean, shit. Just the eye twitch thing alone, being that's just him. He can really do that.
You mentioned the eye twitch in the last episode, but I don't know what you're talking about. What does he do? Like this twitchy eye thing? I honestly.
What is it? His right eye can turn in, while his left eye is still looking forward.
Oh,
and he did that in It as well. But yeah, it was something what is it? He got hit in the head or some. What was it in the scene in Boy Kills World? I forget what exactly triggers it, but he sits up into frame and he gets his eye to do the thing and then straightens back up.
Nice.
Yeah.
And honestly, Atomic Blonde, like we were talking off mic earlier, kind of forget he's even in that. Interesting role, pivotal role, but kind of minor. And John Wick Chapter 4, I forgot he was in that too. I don't think you've seen it, but
I don't even think I've got to the fourth one yet. So
you gotta. It's a good time. But I'm with you. Barbarian is my top choice if I had to choose one of these.
Oh, nice.
It's not my job.
Nice.
Yeah. So the Toasties have spoken. 0% for Barbarian, Dennis. Can you believe?
Wow.
Nobody cared for when yet that was one of the most talked about movies of that year. I felt like for months.
I can understand it not being everyone's cup of tea, but at least it stood out though. That deserves some recognition. That's for sure. 100%. But I guess that's not the question though. It's the best Bill Skarsgård movie, so maybe that's really where the 0% comes from.
True. Up next, we have 8.3% for Atomic Blonde. I thought that would have been a 0 as well, but I was wrong.
I figured that would have been the one down at the bottom. That's kind of surprising.
Right. So that leaves a couple other films.
Forgettable for everyone else too.
100%. And that goes to 33.3% for John Wick Chapter 4.
Interesting. See, I thought it would have been the other order. Right? Because I assume, the John Wick fans would have just carried it home. But all right.
Right. You'd think.
Again, it's Skarsgård, not Reeves, being judged.
You're right. If you say Peter Skarsgård, you're like, oh, what is that, True Blood? If you say Bill Skarsgård, you're like, oh, Pennywise. You don't go
Fucking
to other
Pennywise.
movies, really, I guess. Yeah. But you know what movie's really good? I don't know if anybody's seen it. I believe it's currently on Hulu. He did a movie, him, Micah Monroe, one of the dudes from the lead star of the show Burn Notice, and my old fucking boss, and I guess you could say acquaintance, because I got to know her for a few days. Kara Sedgwick are in this
Oh.
pretty interesting movie called The Neighbors or Neighbors.
Hmm.
It's really good. So you got Skarsgård and Micah Monroe. They're kind of these tweaker type people breaking into this house. And while they're there, they discover something fucked up. And then they realize they broke into the wrong house and everything turns on them. I highly suggest people should check out this movie, Neighbors. Good time.
Nice.
But I felt like nobody probably saw that movie, so I left it off the list. Yeah.
A clear-cut winner here, though. I think it's given that
yeah,
he is
I wanted
more or
stuff
less the
people
main
know
character
of.
of this movie, you know?
Yes, 100%. All right, so up next on the last episode, we also reviewed a new vampire movie called Abigail. And that's about a ballerina vampire. And I wanted to know what the Toasie's favorite vampire film was out of The Lost Boys, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Interview with the Vampire, and Blade.
Oh, no Underworld love, huh? That's too bad. Well,
ooh, the Lycans. I thought about it. I should have put it on there. I think I went more for older things. I could never get into. I always tried getting into that franchise, but I couldn't. I don't know why. But I did like the prequel movie, Rise of the Lycans. I think it was.
That was cool.
And then I found out one of the writing teachers I had at Columbia, Dirk Blackman, wrote it, and I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, the one movie that I like out of this franchise, this guy wrote. Nice.
There you go.
I don't know. Where do you land on these films?
Blade for me, and that's it's honestly setting aside the fact that it's a Marvel movie, just the fact that it's fucking Wesley Snipes doing some really cool shit, and he is a vampire. That's like it's the coolest anti-vampire being a vampire yourself. All of the powers with none of the fucking punishment. I mean, come on, that's awesome.
I remember opening weekend. I remember when it came out back in like 97 or whatever. Like it came out on my brother's birthday and we were going to go to the theater to see it. I was pretty young, so I don't know why. But we ended up, it was sold out. So we had to see Death to Smoochie, which I also love. Fantastic film. And then I didn't see it until it hit VHS. But boy, do I love the Blade series. But honestly, one that I loved as a child a lot was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. Never got into the show. Loved the movie. Used to rent it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's Blade for me as well. A close call for Buffy, but I just don't know if it holds up. Didn't you review it like 70 episodes ago?
Oh, yeah. Lost Boys. Yeah. No, that was a while back.
Oh, no, didn't you do Buffy?
That was no.
And I saw
that
Lost Boys for the first time a couple of months ago.
I want to say that was a Tanya review from way back when.
Or a Corey. Yeah, that makes sense. Anywho. Let's see what the Toasies thought, huh? All right.
What do these yokels have to say?
For the first one, we have 8.3% for Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I'm just glad there's no zeros. We're all over the place. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, we're keeping it fresh this episode. Up next, 8.3% for Blade. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with people, but at least he got love. Yeah. Not last place, tied for last place. That leaves our runner-up for first place being 16.7% for The Lost Boys. Boy, oh boy. It must be that fucking...
Get it.
Must
sax
be that
solo?
Playing that with
the greasy, shirtless sax solo.
Good shit.
That goes on for honestly, a third of the movie.
Fantastic stuff, Dennis. That made it for me. I saw this for the first time a couple of months ago on the big screen, and boy, did I have a blast. And it's Kiefer. It's fucking Bauer. Fucking Jack Bauer as a very creepy vampire. By creepy, I just mean questionable. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird vibes coming there.
Think about how old he is versus the people he's hanging out with are. A little gross.
Although I did like the kids at the fucking comic book store. Or was it a video store?
Oh, right. Like
The Corys
the self pronounced vampire hunters by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
They were the best part of the movie for me too.
Right? What was it? Frog and something else, I think. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Long enough. I don't recall. Yeah.
All right. And that leaves 66.7% for Tommy Cruise and Brad Pitt in Interview with the Vampire. I'd never seen this
Cruise.
one. I should.
I've seen parts of it. And yeah, same thing. It's like, I know, and I'm sure we're gonna get some shit for that, but it's like, it's just one of those movies that slips by and then I honestly forget it even exists, you know? But
I hear there's some sexy vibes going on between the two hunks in the movie, I've heard. I don't know. And people are loving the AMC series Interview with the Vampire, a modern day take where there's a vampire being interviewed in a podcast, I think. I don't know.
Podcasts. Gosh. Yeah. It's just so many of them. Like
bullshit. That's what it is.
Just like listening to talking.
Right. But if it's a vampire talking, that could be kind of cool. They're like, yeah, I fucking sucked this guy's blood. I bit into her jugular.
It's good times. Good times. Well, fair enough, Toasties. You got that love with the vampire too,
right?
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I think feels like we're getting to that time.
We're getting to it. We're there.
All right, let's do some reviews.
Do it.
Lights, camera, action. It's review time. Dennis and Adam, we gon' blow your mind. We're stepping up to the plate, ready to swing. Analyzing movies like a scientist would brain.
There's more lyrics there, but I cut it because I didn't want it being super long.
It's a good transition piece.
When you pay an AI to record music and you want movie references, they really like Tarantino for some reason.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah.
I'll take it,
Scorsese. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do it. All right. So up first, I saw the latest movie of Chris Pine called Poolman. It's not a superhero movie, folks. This is Chris Pine's directorial debut, and he also co-wrote the script. It's a pretty interesting little film noir caper comedy. You kind of get vibes of Chinatown meets The Big Lebowski a bit. So you got Chris. He's playing this guy who is a little bit just kind of oblivious. Like, he's out there every morning. He wakes up and types letters to Erin Brockovich like she's his pen pal. He has his own pool cleaning service where he essentially just cleans the pool of this hotel, pool at this hotel apartment type building. And he's also a very big proponent of making Los Angeles better. And he goes to all this city council meetings and always has pitch decks and just these big dreams. He really wants to get trolleys into the city. And he's always met with these roadblocks by one of the councilmen, played perfectly by one of our favorites on the show, Mr. Stephen Tobolowsky. And it's just goofy. And he has this documentary crew following him. You got a washed up B-movie director played by Danny DeVito named Jack, and his wife, Annette Bening, Diane. Jack and Diane are making this documentary following him and his journey to clean up Los Angeles. But he ends up getting entangled in this mystery when the new secretary or assistant of Stephen Tobolowsky's character comes to him and says, hey, my fucking boss is up to some shady shit, and you're the guy who can bring him down. And he is so excited to do it because this is his enemy. And the assistant's played by Captain Marvel, her best friend, DeWanda Wise, perfectly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so essentially he uncovers these things that are going on in the city, these wild escapades. Has another one of our favorites, Mr. Krabs himself, fucking Clancy Brown is in it. So many people pop up in this movie. It's interesting. And literally he researches how to be this kind of detective by watching Chinatown. And it's just goofy. It's weird. it's getting ripped apart by critics, and like it opened at the Toronto International Film Festival TIFF, and it got ripped apart. And he's been doing all these interviews on podcasts and things, and you can tell he's depressed about it. He knows people don't like it. And honestly, I had a good time watching it. It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
It's goofy. It's weird. You can tell there's a lot of pride put in it. He's just trying to make a fun, interesting movie. And it's fun to see Chris Pine play this wacky guy. He has a big grizzly beard, long hair. He kind of looks like a fit version of Bro Thor. And he's just wacky. And normally he's this like clean shaven, smooth talking guy. And it's nice seeing him kind of pull back a bit and have fun. So I enjoyed Poolman. It's all right. Not the best. Definitely not as bad as people are tearing it apart. Yeah. Poolman. Definitely an interesting one. Would I say rush out to theaters and see it right away? Nah, man. You can wait till it is like Hulu probably in a few weeks, I assume. I'd give Poolman currently in theaters 1.5 slices of toast. It's an interesting little watch. Yeah.
Okay. Like, damn, that's too bad to hear about the first one out the gate. It didn't strike quite as hard, but I got something a little more punchy for my first review.
Yeah, hit us.
All right. So I checked out the new Frank Grillo, Mekhi Phifer action film Lights Out. Dylan McDermott, just kidding, it's Dermot Mulroney. I just like interchanging them together.
I mean, it's easy to do. They're interchangeable. Although one's very distinguished, they're kind of the same. I don't know.
I love that sketch on SNL. Dermot Mulroney was in. Is it Dylan McDermott or Dermot Mulroney? It's Dylan McDermott. No, that's you. That's you up there. Oh man. Okay. Anyways, enough.
At least you can have fun with it.
So this is a action film, as I said, where we have Frank Grillo. He plays this ex-soldier. He's kind of a drifter, ruffian sort of dude, but kind of keeps to himself. And then we have this ex-con, this guy he recently got out of prison, that his sister is in with the really bad crowd. Her boyfriend is a piece of shit, like in with this gang where he's dealing drugs and getting into bad shit, and it seems like their relationship's already kind of rocky. Well, she has an older daughter that during one of their fights, she's like, I don't know why, she's rummaging around in the house and she finds a shitload of money, and she takes it out of the house and like loses it, spends it. I fucking forget the whole thing. The whole thing is they need to replace the money that the drug like cartel gang people need back. And Mekhi Phifer sees Frank Grillo beating the shit out of some dudes in a bar, and he's like, man, you're a fighter. Like, let's he's like, no, I'm not, bro, blah blah blah, but I could use a place to stay and something lame like that. And so we're kind of just seeing he's slowly like he threw him in the pot, and he's slowly turning up the fucking dial on the stove, just starting to get him into this world of like underground street fighting. And meanwhile, you've got the gang leader who's played by Dermot Mulroney, which I'm sorry, he's just not selling the big bad to me. You have the police detective that's playing both sides, like she's the dirty cop that for some reason has to change her haircut completely like 2 or 3 times in the movie. It's like, okay, which movie was she working on in this scene versus which movie was she working on in the scene, because that's how drastically different it looks, and it's frustrating. I wanted to even just like the fights in this movie, and I couldn't. Let me tell you, I did not like this. Hate's a strong word.
Sounded like you love it.
Very close to it. Take someone like Frank Grillo. This guy is a great like on-screen fighter. He can make fight scenes look cool. We've seen it many times in film and TV. I don't know who to blame. It's either the choreographer or the cinematographer. It just looks like shit. I mean, the fight scenes they don't like link up. You get these very weird jarring movements that like the coverage is from like the wrong angle, I think, for some of these like strikes they're supposed to be doing. And the dialogue is just so rough to get through. I laughed out loud at this movie when it was not supposed to be funny. I was pulling teeth. I got to the last 15 minutes and I begged Val, can we please turn it off? Because I cannot do this to my brain anymore. We came back to it the next day to finish the last 15 minutes. And I'm glad, because that took everything of me. Lights Out is available on Hulu right now. I'm giving it 0 slices. None.
Yikes.
Red light.
Speaking of Frank
Red
Gritto,
light.
Gritto. Oh man, red light. Yes,
Frank.
that means don't see it, folks. Boy, oh boy. Speaking of Frank Grillo, did you hear that he is joining season 2 of Peacemaker as Rick Flag Sr., I believe?
Oh,
Yeah, because apparently
Wait.
he's in Creature Commander, the animated series, and then he's also playing that character in live action form.
oh, okay. Oh, cool. Well, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I'm
I'm
looking
glad we're
forward to
finally
that.
getting back to some more Peacemaker. Yeah, it's a great
Right,
show.
it's
And
weird.
see, that show
Oh, no,
seems
go
like a
ahead.
great fit for him. Like
Yeah,
that's
like,
that's exactly
You
the
have
world.
humor, you have action. It's everything that works perfectly for that guy in a
Mhm.
way. It's
Yeah.
interesting because I knew for a while it sounded like James Gunn wanted to do the Amanda Waller show first, and then we come back to Peacemaker, even though there was so much heat on Peacemaker. And then he said, "Oh, we're going to do Peacemaker after we finish Superman." And then they started production on Superman, and like midway through, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're also are shooting Peacemaker." And I'm like,
Oh my
"How are you
God.
doing both shows?" Like,
Oh man.
that's kind of weird.
So we're
I don't know.
gonna make 3 bad things instead of 1 good thing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
Hey, have
hopefully
you
not.
seen any of those Superman photos? And by those, I mean the one photo
The
of
one,
him putting on the
not
boot.
yet. I did kind of keep myself from like. It's one of those. I've never been that into the character Superman that
Yeah.
much, but I like the director, and they've done cool things with the character in the
Mhm.
DC world. That
Yeah.
I'd be willing to give it a shot. I'm just not like
I'm
hype
interested.
creeping too much.
Sure.
But when that trailer drops, that first trailer, I'm checking that shit out that first day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am intrigued. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
We're changing teams here, so different
Yeah.
books.
Well, let's see. It
Different
could be
books.
good. Could be bad. Could be anything. We got to wait and find out, I guess.
Could
Speaking
be a
of
movie.
Peacemaker, that is a TV show, and I have a movie that involves a TV show.
Oh,
I have
hey.
the new A24 movie, I Saw the TV Glow. This movie
I
I've
like
been
this
reading
artwork.
about for a
Sorry.
while. Oh, go ahead. The poster.
Yeah, I like this artwork right away. I just for some reason I
Yeah.
really like the look of this. That's awesome.
It's
Anyways,
cool. There's a lot of
excuse
like
me.
neon pink and purple. Like there's a lot of that type
Yeah.
of vibe.
There's
in the
like
movie.
only
It's
2
kinda
colors,
nice.
and it's just different shades.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah,
very simple,
it's beautiful.
dramatic,
Mhm.
kind of 80s like John Carpenter sort
Yeah.
of vibe to it.
I mean, it's like takes place in the 90s and then comes to present day kind of, but yeah, it has that style vibe.
Okay.
But it has one of these actors I always like in things. Justice Smith. I always think of him from Detective Pikachu. He's the son, the little sidekick
Yeah.
guy in Bumblebee. So he plays this character who's kind of a latchkey kid. He's very soft-spoken. Kind of feel like he could be on the spectrum a little bit, possibly. And he was close with his mom, and his mom was kind of sick. His dad's a little bit kind of seems like aloof or possibly abusive. Even when he's in high school, he has to go to bed by 10. But when he's young, he sees this girl reading this like guidebook to this TV show, Pink Opaque or something like that. It's called. It's kind of like a teen drama show where these telepathic girls can talk, and it's kind of like a Monster of the Week type show, like the X-Files.
Yeah.
And the boy has never seen it because it's on 10:30 at night, and he's in bed. And this girl is like, all right, she starts recording it for him and giving him like tapes to watch. And they kind of start this friendship watching the show, and they bond over the show. And it's interesting because you're like, oh, maybe he's into this girl, but he's not. He's not really. He's kind of asexual. She is herself. She is queer, and she's not really into him. But they have this great bond. It's nice. And but she kind of starts thinking. They unravel a bit. She decides she's gonna run away from home and tells him that he should go with her. And he says he's gonna, and then he kind of freaks out and bails on her, and she goes missing for years. When she goes missing, the show ends up coming to a halt. It ends on this giant cliffhanger, and he goes on living his life, and she reappears in his life later on and is trying to convince him that she realized that the show isn't really a show, and it's really something that happened to them, and their realities have kind of merged into this weird memory,
Mm.
and she was really in the show when she was missing, and she came back to get him because she needs him to go back with her, and he's just not sure what to believe because things seem a little bit off in his life, but he wants to believe her, but he doesn't want to believe her, and it's this kind of mind-bending movie, and it's very kind of slow-paced, melodramatic, and like we see the show, it's kind of cheesy. It has like this really cheesy 80s 90s style show vibe, and it's just interesting. It's a really different kind of movie. It's been getting a lot of buzz, and I don't know, I liked it. It felt a little bit long. There were some scenes where I'm like, oh, the movie's gonna end now. Nope, not ending. Okay, it's gonna end now. Nope. And
God.
then a couple false ends, it feels like to me. I'm like, oh shit, this is where things are really picking up, getting interesting. Then it fucking comes to an end. And I'm like, fuck you, movie. But I guess leave them wanting more. Overall, I had a good time watching this movie. I don't love it as much as other people I've seen on film Twitter ranting and raving about it. And it pissed me off. I kind of had a sour taste in my mouth because, you know me, I laugh at funny moments in movies. And there are a few moments of laughter in this movie. And I hear this one kid leaving, probably like a couple years younger than me, being like, I was really fucking pissed. That fucking person was laughing the whole movie. This is not a comedy. Fucking, if you want to laugh, you right-wingers should stay home and watch right-wing TV. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about, guy? I'm just a regular guy who spent his own money, almost $17 to see this movie. And the one who's an asshole here is you because you're making judgment calls because I'm laughing at moments that were funny. Fuck you. But I just sat there and I was just smirking. Yeah. But it kind of soured the movie a little bit for me because I'm like, fuck this person. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. Overall, I'm going to give I Saw the TV Glow. I'm going to give it 2 slices of toast. And
all right.
It's interesting. It has some interesting people spread out here. I think Fred Durst plays the dad in a couple of scenes. And I'm like, I didn't even realize it was him. I'm like, oh god, he doesn't look very good, or maybe it's good prosthetics. I don't know. Then there's this guy, this comedian that I've seen, and I think you should leave, called Connor O'Malley. I like Phoebe Bridgers is in it. Has random people tossed in here and there, and it's interesting. The one thing I really liked about it is they kind of play with your mind. They show you a clip of the show, and it's kind of eerie when they're kids. And then like years later, he's like, I went back and rewatched my favorite show. And they show what it's like now watching it. And it's really cheesy. And it really makes you wonder like, oh yeah, as a kid, things are kind of built up to this grand scheme in your head. And then as adults, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not really what I remember it being. But it's really cool because it does make you question whether the girl's telling the truth or not. Because there's a lot of things that you then believe could be true or false. But what is she saying?
Okay.
Yeah. It's in limited release, I think, right now. But if it's in a theater near you, check it out. It's a fun little watch.
Nice. I remember the trailer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I was just gonna.
No.
I just remember the trailer standing out to me. I was before Abigail, I want to say. And
okay.
Thinking like it's like okay, this it looked intriguing.
Yeah.
But you know, I'll like everything you said. I feel like the trailer told me as far as the plot setup goes. You know. So it's like, all right, am I waiting around for a long time to finally get into the meat then? Because
that's the thing. There's a lot of like nothing happening. Like, sure, we're getting to be in the mind of these characters and we're getting to see them and there's time jumps. I will say they do, when they age up the characters, they do a good job at that. Like you believe that they're growing up. Yeah. But yeah, a little stale at some moments for me, but maybe it's about the journey for most people. But for me, they could have got there a little quicker. But you have something that the folks can watch right now at home. That's something I completely forgot existed. Wasn't even really promoted on the Netflix homepage. You want to tell us a little bit about this film? Dennis?
Our next flick is Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver. This is Zack Snyder's second chapter in his fresh new universe that he built from the ground up. And boy, did we need a stronger foundation. So this is the next chapter in the story where we have our imperialist military government is imposing a tax on this small farming planet where these people have very little means and apparently only one fucking city in the entire planet, I guess. They're kind of getting held hostage this military leader, Atticus Noble, played by Ed Skrein, is he's demanded all this shit. The one person hiding amongst them, the villagers, she used to be one of their soldiers, and she's like, no, we got to stand up to him because this is never going to end. They form a ragtag team. They beat him. Movie's over. That's the first one, right? Second one.
I was going to say, that sounds familiar.
Just kidding. Bad guy didn't die. And it's like right out the gate. The first thing is just like, oh, by the way, they give you 5 minutes.
Did they set that up in the beginning of the last movie? Him like talking to the Grand Admiral or something? He's like,
it was
revenge.
Well, it's the whole he getting shot and getting smashed under the rocks on the beach beneath the thing, like the whole all that shit. And it was convincing the characters that he was dead. And that's the first thing they show, which I got to say, the chamber, like the resurrection chamber that they have him in, of like that's regrowing his organs and all the shit, was fucking cool looking. I got to give the points where they're due. The visual aspect, like just the art production, all of the production design looks great. The costumes are cool. The props, the sets look pretty cool. The ship interiors, anything where we're interacting with the world like that, they did a good job of making that look really solid and believable. But that's kind of it for me. And I have really nothing else like positive to say after that, because holy shit, did I feel like I just watched the same movie again. Because guess what? We go back to the same planet with the villagers, where we fight the same people again with the same characters doing the same thing.
And is it like 2 hours?
Fighting sleep. Oh, it's like 2 hours and 3 minutes.
I did love your commentary texting me as you're watching it. I'm like, this.
Oh my god,
this is good that I skipped this one.
Yeah, no. I what's funny is I'm like, you know what? I watched the first one. There's gonna be 3 of these fuckers. Might as well watch the second one. Keep it going. I'm pretty fucking sure I will not watch the third one after this. I don't.
Didn't you tell me your wife begged you not to watch it?
Oh no, not. It wasn't quite that intense. It was more like. Okay. Do we really have to watch it? I watch it by myself. I didn't make her.
I was going to say, why would you put
my next film? We both watched together, but no, I knew better than that. I was just like, I'll watch it on my own. It's fine. I wouldn't wish this upon my enemies.
Now this is interesting because I feel like you were saying, sorry, I am cutting you off here, but at the end of the last movie, you kind of got into the last movie at the very end, so there was a little bit of hope, I think.
The little bit of action was kind of cool. That's the thing is some of them do it pretty cool. Dimon Honsu, he plays one of the guys that they pick up on the team. I mean, I like that actor. He kicks ass and stuff. I loved was it Blood Diamond? He was amazing in that. This other actress, Bae Duna, she's like the sword fighter. If
I was gonna say, yep, she killed the spider thing in the first one, right?
She's like the closest thing to a Jedi, which again just kind of highlights the fact that we're really just ripping off Star Wars and Warhammer and a few other sci-fi properties that already exist and rolling them into one. And that's the other thing. It's just nothing about this felt terribly original, except for I had one moment that was really I thought was cool. One of our heroes is like getting beaten within an inch of their lives. Clearly they're about to die, go down. And one of the children that they're defending runs up with like a pocket knife and stabs the soldier in the thigh, like into the artery. Like, so, you know, it's not a little scratch. It's like he runs full speed. That caught me.
That's what I like to call a direct hit.
That was cool. Yes. Oh my God. No, that's cool.
Amazing.
And then, and of course we get to best that particular enemy, but then that was like, that's kind of it. Nothing else really just like rocked my mind. I wanted more. We get more droid Anthony Hopkins as the robot named Jimmy, which I'm still just like, how are we trying to figure out how to use this? He's like fucking medieval C-3PO that wants to live out in the wilderness. He's finally gonna be more involved. There's bigger explosions, I guess. There's a little more of the same. That's it. That should be the other title for this. A little bit more of the same thing.
Did they leave off on a cliffhanger, or did they actually end the story on this?
Of course they did. Now we got it, because now we get all the backstory as to why Cora was hiding out, because she killed the king and the queen and their princess. But it turns out, spoiler alert,
is she the princess?
Isn't really dead. No, she shot her in the fucking head, apparently. But apparently she got better. So this is
Crank 2, high voltage.
I was about to say,
80.
this is the princess played by Jason Statham in Crank 3 in space.
Oh man. Now, are you
she's
going to
fucking-
watch the rated
Sorry.
R cuts, the unrated cuts when they come out, the longer?
See, that's the shit that
racier
pisses me off. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
don't start making movies just to re-release them because you know you need to do another like. Now you're
That's
just doing
why
it on
I'm
purpose.
refusing to
There's-
watch this.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. Like I said, there was cool action things in it. The visual elements were cool. But there's just no more story here. I really don't care. And then we lop off about half the team. Well, yeah, a few.
That we assemble. It
members.
takes us hours to assemble in the first fucking movie.
Yeah.
You're not
That took way too
MacGruber.
long
You're
for it
not
to happen.
Deadpool in the X-Force. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
man.
this I'm very much over this. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver. By the way, Cora's the Scar Giver. The scars on its screen. I want to keep the scar, and he keeps ripping his shirt open and showing off his scar. Scar. I'm like, I thought there was gonna be you're gonna introduce some cool character. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's bullshit.
Anyways, available on Netflix now, in case you also didn't realize it was there. I'm gonna give it one slice. There's
wow, that's better than the
I-
Zero Slicer earlier.
that should tell you just how bad Lights Out was. I still
Oh,
like this
man.
more than Lights
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, one
You know,
slicer.
I just wrap my mind around the thought that his last Netflix movie, Army of the Dead, was fucking fantastic. Why did you
Yes.
go and make this great movie? You should have followed it up with another one. Instead, you make these fucking shitty movies. Fuck you, Zack Snyder. Fuck you.
I'm like, I appreciate taking the risk, but look, we see just how bad this is doing. Unless they shot all three of them already, and this is why they have to just kind of work through them. I'm like, oh, exactly. I doubt it. So because so much of it is like fucking green screen stage. It's
Yeah.
oh my god. Another thing. The cinematography, their depth of field focus that they for some reason has to be in every goddamn frame of this thing. I'm tired of the edge of my TV all being fuzzy out of focus all the time.
That's annoying. I hate
I'm
that
like,
shit.
the human eye doesn't even really do that. We actually see almost everything in focus almost all the time. Not this.
If you're doing
oh,
that,
it's too
make
artistic.
it pivotal to
like,
the scene. Make it interesting. Don't do the whole movie.
make it a dramatic
I hate when
moment.
movies do that.
It's that's the thing. Like this, some of the stylization is just too much. Like the speed racking shit all over this movie. Kids are playing. They're harvesting wheat, and we see the whoa, going fast, slow, high speed, slow speed.
This isn't
harvesting
300.
wheat.
You lucked out with that one, bud. Ugh.
It was great. You know what? It worked where it did. That's where it
Yeah.
belongs.
Yeah,
20 years ago
Wow.
is where it belongs. Yeah, man.
that's a
Can't,
shame.
Can't not recommend it enough.
Well, I'll try to dig us out of that.
Yeah,
shithole
you
of
got
it.
it. You got another one, man. Let's see
Yeah,
what you got
yeah.
here.
I have a movie coming out this Friday called
yeah.
Babes. This movie it stars Alana Glazer. You might know her as one of the stars of Broad City, and also Michelle Batu. She's a comedian. She has some podcasts, but I know her as the voice of the narrator on the Netflix reality show The Circle. And you have a slew of other familiar faces in here. You got John Carroll Lynch, Oliver Platt, Hassan Minaj, fucking
Nice.
Tanner Bernhardt. This is a movie co-written by Alana Glazer and directed by Bobby Hill herself, Miss Pamela Adlon.
Badass.
So it's about these two lifelong friends, Alana and Michelle's characters, and let me give you their names to make it better. Alana's character's name is Eden. Michelle's character's name is Dawn. So Dawn is married. She has a kid in the very beginning of the movie. She is about to give birth. She gives birth. That kind of makes things a little bit difficult for our other main character, for Eden. And Eden is on a train, and she meets this guy. And the two of them had this great meet cute. They hit it off, and they go home, and they both realize they've never had unprotected sex that has then had ejaculate left inside of their inside of the female. So they're like, you know what? Eden's like, I'm on my period right now. And I don't think we should have sex. And the guy is like, I don't care. And so they're like, you know what if you come inside me? I can't get pregnant if you come inside me. Well, I'm on my period. And so they do. And then we pick up a couple of weeks later. We realize that he's ghosted her. She hasn't heard from him since that day. And then she realizes that she is pregnant. And everyone is like, in what world do you think you can't get pregnant because you're on your period? That's madness. And she tries finding the guy, and she discovers that the day he left her, he died. So now she has to decide if she wants to keep the kid and raise it on her own, or if she's going to get an abortion. And she decides, you know what? I'm gonna have the kid. And her best friend decides she's going to be there for her all the way. And of course, that becomes a little bit difficult. And things don't go as planned for her. And this movie is really funny. It's beautiful. It kind of feels like a spiritual successor, a continuation of sorts of Broad City. Kind of feels like our main characters from Broad City have grown up a little bit and just recasted a bunch of other characters. Because even the guy she falls for kind of reminds me a bit of fucking what's his face? Yeah, and
Nice.
it's just it looks good. The cinematography is beautiful. It takes place in New York. We're seeing some great shots of New York. The humor is raunchy in some scenes and then sweet in other. There's heart, there's soul put into this movie. And I'll say, for a feature film directorial debut by Pamela Adlon, it's fantastic. And the writing is sharp. The acting is fantastic. I believe everyone's characters. This movie, I kind of was like, all right, it could go one way or the other. And it went in the right direction for me. I really had a blast. Babes coming to theaters this Friday. I highly suggest you check out if you like that style of humor. It's over the top. It's funny. There's raunchiness, but there's also lighthearted fun. Yeah, and it was nice before the movie. There was a live stream of the main actresses and the director being interviewed by Julia Louis-Dreyfus live, and yeah, that was kind of fun to watch too. Oh, and it's funny because it was like a screening on Mother's Day, and there was a lot of older ladies, and I feel like there's mainly ladies in the theater. I'm like, good, they should get their own type of movie. Nice. So I'm hoping this might become like a Bridesmaid style movie where ladies go out and check it out, and it becomes a hit. I don't know. I'm gonna give Babes 3.5 slices of toast. I really had a fun time watching.
Badass. Oh, awesome. Yeah, that definitely sounds like something I want to check out, especially given the talent that's in it, the people who made it. That's 100%. I'm on board just for that alone. So we'll definitely be adding that to the queue.
Yeah. And I mean, it's coming to theaters, Dennis, but it'll be on streaming eventually.
It's a turn of phrase. I don't mean literally. The queue
I know.
Films I'm going to watch in general.
But this next movie, the folks can put in their queue and watch right away if they have Netflix, I believe.
That they can. Or you can skip the queue and just play it. Talking about Unfrosted, the Jerry Seinfeld birthed film of the not so true origin of everyone's favorite toaster pastry breakfast item, the Pop-Tart. This is pitting the Kellogg's and Post family companies head to head against one another to be the race to the first ones to release the first breakfast toaster pastry. It's the cast in this is fucking bonkers. I mean, it's every scene. Like, there's so many scenes where you're getting this really, really big name, this really big person, maybe for a line or two, but then you have the most random people are in the entire fucking thing. Our main characters are Jim Gaffigan and Jerry Seinfeld playing Bob and Kellogg the third. He's inherited the family company. He really doesn't have like his own ingenuity when coming to the product. He just wants to maintain the family name. Amy Schumer is playing Marjorie Post, the owner of the Post company. You also get Melissa McCarthy, Hugh Grant, Bill Burr, Christian Slater, James Marsden, Dan Levy, Peter Dinklage, John Hamm, Max Greenfield, Andy Daly, Jack McBrayer, Thomas Lennon. I can keep fucking going, and you're going to Cedric Yarborough's
in the killer's row. Oof!
It truly is. Having said that immediately creates, I think, one of the problems of like the movie doesn't give you a chance to breathe. Normally, I feel like I like the sort of over the top, larger than life sort of comedy. It reminded me very much of like the later seasons of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, when they just tossed a lot of like the real world based stuff out the window and just went for this very fun, quirky comedy. It's like that on fucking meth. It never stops. I mean, like, even when I'm trying to get the next bit of information in, it just keeps coming at you with this like,
Yikes.
oh, you know, it would be funny. You know, you could just hear Jerry Seinfeld having this conversation. And then funny enough, I worked for his co-writer, co-executive producer, Spike Harrison, on his show, Car Matchmaker. And I could just hear him talking while I was watching this movie. You know, this would be funny. This would be funny. Like, no,
I literally listened to Seinfeld on a podcast saying that's kind of how they did it. He's like, oh, Spike really likes this type of thing, so we did this. And I'm like, oh,
fucking Christ. That's the problem. Watching this movie is like millionaires getting to invite all of their friends, even some of the people that they tell them, you're my friend. I'm not really your, that kid that's throwing that birthday party. But then it's like, none of it makes sense. No one said no to anything. It was just yes. From the design of the wardrobe, some of these sets. Sometimes it's really cool. Sometimes it's just so fucking wacky and out there. I'm like, you've just lost me. Yes, they make a few real references to things of that era, but even then, it's not like the dialogue is from that time. They're talking modern, like in modern jargon. And it doesn't legitimize it for me. In fact, they kind of take a lot of real life events and try to poke fun at them in a way that I didn't feel was very appropriate for a Pop-Tart movie. We get a whole January 6th riot scene at the end of the movie that I just kind of like, oh, really? All right. Well, this isn't funny nor cute, but whatever. They turn Hugh Grant into the fucking buffalo head guy, except it's Tony the Tiger's mascot. He's shredded apart and put face paint on and the buffalo horns. And it's just like, it never knows when to fucking quit. And I just want it to calm the fuck down. Like, it's like, I like a lot of slapstick stuff, like an Austin Powers or something like that. But even a movie like that knows when to move the plot forward. There's no plot in this movie. Other than the one of the best parts are these two kids. It's the first movie they've ever been in.
Trash
and
kids?
They like Yes. They are the best part of the movie, to be honest. There's a couple of fun lines. I did honestly laugh several times, but it would be cut off so abruptly because they're like, oh, never mind. You just sucked all the fun back out of. I was enjoying that joke. Now you made it suck again. Even in the closing credits, they're doing the classic like 1970s. You're getting all the cast and crew synced up to the same closing music. And they're singing along and dancing to it. And then you intercut with a little bit of blooper footage. And then you cut back to, oh, here's these crew members behind the scenes dancing to the song. We're all singing together. And you get to Bill Burr's like outtakes. And he's just like, oh, I see. I thought we were making a comedy. Whatever. I guess we're not trying to win awards or anything. Like you could just the tone. Same with like there's an interview with, funny enough, on KTLA this last week. Jim Gaffigan and Jerry Seinfeld getting interviewed on the press junket for this. Jim Gaffigan looked so fucking uncomfortable, and he just looked like he was constantly walking on eggshells with every word he said. That he let a couple things slip out. It's just clearly it's like, well, he finally says, well, when Jerry Seinfeld calls you and tells you to do something, you just do it. And that that's the whole movie. I wanted to enjoy this. I love Pop-Tarts. This is not a Pop-Tart. I do not want to scarf this down. In fact, it is too much like a Pop-Tart, and you don't have anything to drink, and your throat gets all dry, and you just start choking on it about halfway through. Yeah. Unfrosted, available on Netflix. I'm giving it 1.5 slices. It had a few chuckles. You got to see a lot of cool, like a lot of great people in it. I really enjoy. I wanted to like it so much more.
Yeah.
It's
funny.
It's just
I did start it a couple of nights ago, and I honestly had a blast watching the first 20 minutes. Like it just felt like a cartoon kind of. I like the visuals of it, I think.
Well, here's the thing, but it's like, who really is this for? It's not really a family movie because a lot of the dialogue goes way over kids' heads, especially when you start getting into like real historical moments. And the joke is kind of like based on you being aware of this thing happening. But then you dumb it down, like it becomes so slapsticky that I'm like, well, wait, I get this is for a specific crowd. I was talking about this movie with my mother, and she had ended up liking it, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I wanted to, but I just can't. I know it's supposed to be funny, and you're only supposed to take it so seriously, but there isn't even that little morsel of something for me to just like get invested into. I really don't care. It's funny that you say that,
because the other day my mother asked me, she's like, "Yeah, did you watch that Jerry Seinfeld movie Unfrosted?" I'm like, "No, not yet." She's like, "Don't. It was stupid. It was stupid." I'm like, my mother likes some very like bad movies. She enjoys Hallmark movies and weird family movies, and it has to be really bad for my mother to say twice in a row that it was stupid. I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah, so it's funny that you didn't like it, but your mother did. My mother didn't like it, and I kind of liked what I saw of it. But it's also funny, like a couple of weeks ago, Sarah and I went to go see Jim Gaffigan on tour, and like his opening couple of minutes are about him like taking the food suppressor type shot things that like I was on, and and how he lost weight and how now he's skinny and this and that. And driving home, I'm like, I don't get it. He wasn't that fat. Like, sure, he was chubby. And then I watched this, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess he kind of was fat. I guess he does look a bit different now. But god damn it. I don't know.
Thing. Oh, good for him though.
Yeah.
This whole thing moved. It all moved at such a fast pace. I don't know. And this the sad part is I was very excited to watch it. I was like super into it. But it's funny, it's probably about the same point. I was finally starting to like, okay, what are we really watching here? I mean, I knew it was going to be a spoof sort of thing. Like there was going to be very, very little fact. Other than finding out Marjorie Post actually had Mar-a-Lago built in Florida. She had that resort made.
Wow. And it's funny that you mentioned that end scene of like them like dancing, like singing to the music and whatever, because he was on Fly on the Wall, the Dana Carvey, David Spade podcast, and they're so let me ask, did you have to keep the talent there late after shooting to like sing and dance this? And he's like, oh yeah, I kept them. And they're like, did they like it? Oh no, they hated it. It was an inconvenience to everybody. And it's like, see, you know they didn't like do it. Why'd you force it?
That's that fucking attitude. And you can see it too. You can tell like the tone. He even got a shot of himself standing on the president's desk in the Oval Office. And I'm like, God, to have that man's ego, you must, the world must be so much different for him. To assume you're that much better than everyone else around you constantly, or that much smarter than everyone. That must be kind of nice, but but it fucking shows in this movie.
He was the king of television for years, but
okay, but you go back and look at that even. All of his supporting cast, incredible talent. He is not an actor. I'm sorry. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He's not an actor.
And it's interesting that you say everyone kind of walks on eggshells around him. I read an interview recently with Patrick Warburton, and he even would, in the interview, he was like, yeah, you kind of have to watch what you say around Jerry. I haven't really talked to him much since then. And it's like, so yeah, I think you're right. Everyone just kind of does what he says. And then he was, Jerry was pitching to David Spade and Dana Carvey. He's like, oh yeah, the Golden Toast Awards was supposed to be emceed by Chris Rock, but that happened right after the Will Smith slap, and I wanted to have him come and do it, and I wanted someone to walk up on stage and him to just knock their lights out. Wouldn't that be great? And David Spade's like, no, that's not really funny. That's why. And I'm like, okay, good. Yeah. At least you're saying. But he was so excited about it to tell him, and then like, that's fucking stupid, dude.
The dumbest shit. Yeah. His Spike. Let me just say, Spike was the same way. Riding in those cars with him for all those hours. Like every once in a while, he's like, he would pitch something weird thing and just be like, I wouldn't say anything out loud because I'm trying to keep my fucking shitty PA job. Sure. I just remember thinking like, oh my god, wait a minute, this guy made Seinfeld and he just thought that was a good idea, or like, or he'd have these very weird creative decisions he'd want to incorporated into episodes of the show. But like right now, I'm not going to tell any of the producers. I'm not going to tell the writers. All of you guys that had planned out this whole episode, but the morning of the shoot, yeah, we're going to do this, and this now. And I'm I cannot fucking stand that shit. It's like, it shows in the execution when you fucking pull the rug out at the last minute. But anyways, I've shit on so many movies this episode. I feel like a burden's been lifted off my back. I feel so much better. I've tried to warn as many of you as much as I can. But hey, maybe I'm completely off the mark. But
Adam, you're watching it so others don't have to.
There you go. I am pumped for this last one. This last review we got lined up here.
I got a little movie that's in a franchise. A movie called
franchise.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's right, folks. We're continuing our latest Planet of the Apes franchise with a movie that takes place generations after what we last saw. We pick up right at the very end of where the last Apes movie was, and then we do a time jump into years later. And at this point, humans can't speak. Humans are kind of like animals. Humans are
degenerated.
And apes can talk. They have full reign almost. And we follow one ape who his dad's kind of like this big shit in his village, and they're out to go collect these eagle eggs because their tribe or clan collects eagle eggs, and then they raise and bond eagles to kind of be their pets and friends. And unfortunately, after our main character gets one, he's excited to show his dad, who is like in charge of all the eagles. And unfortunately, that night before the ceremony, a wild human breaks in, and that human's being tracked by these evil apes that are wearing masks that then essentially pillage their town, set it on fire, and our character is kind of hiding out while that's happening. And his father's died, his mother's kidnapped, his best friends are kidnapped, and he has to bury his father by himself. And he swears to his father that he's going to get vengeance. He's going to bring his tribe back there, and they're going to rebuild the land in honor of his father. And it's interesting because we've realized that our main character is kind of the outcast. He's not as renowned and manly as his dad is, but people do know and respect him. So he has to go on this journey. And as he's going on the journey, he meets an ape who explains who Caesar is and what Caesar means to everybody. And this ape has taken it upon himself to collect books. Even though the apes don't know how to read, they know at one point in time, humans and ape lived side by side, and they knew how to read. And he wanted to preserve that for ape kind in hopes that they'll learn to read again. And his sidekick was killed by the evil masked apes. And as that's happening, we find that human who they were hunting down, and the ape who has been collecting books kind of brings her in. He's like, you got to show her a little pity. You got to treat her like you'd want to be treated. And he kind of teaches our guy, hey, humans aren't bad. Not all, at least. And then, oh shit, we realize the human knows how to speak, and she's been hiding it back. And then they kind of team up because they realize they have the same enemy. And it's this epic quest that they go on. We see essentially a boy become a man and take on fucking danger. And there's a lot going on, but it kind of feels like 3 movies put into one. It's like this could have been a trilogy on its own, but they condensed it into one movie. Feels a little bit long to me. I also saw this on a night at like super late at night, but I saw it in IMAX and it looked beautiful. It was stunning. I will say some of the CG didn't look so great, but other moments it looked fantastic and it looked realistic. And it just had this, it was good. It was great. And it had some good talent in it. Boy, oh boy, the director of this, Wes Ball, I'm excited because he's the one who is bringing Zelda to the big screen. And after seeing this, I have no doubts that he'll do a great job at it, I think. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is currently playing in theaters. I'm going to give it 3 slices of toast. Maybe if it was condensed a little bit, I'd give it a little bit more, but overall, really fun watch. I had a
Nice,
blast.
man.
And every time I see these movies in this trilogy, I'm like, God damn, these movies are so fucking good. And I always forget how good they are. And if you haven't seen them or you're like me and you forgot, they're all on Hulu right now, I believe, and maybe Disney Plus. You should definitely check them out. It's a fantastic trilogy. And this one continues the saga in a pretty fun way.
That's awesome, man. I was already looking forward to it, but after hearing that, I'm definitely sold, and to check it out in the theater too, because I feel like to really capture that scope. Yeah, no, that's gonna be it, man. Well, awesome, cool. I'm glad we also ended on a higher note too. There was a lot of low scoring films this episode, but we got some decently scored ones too. Definitely want to check out Babes. That's high up on the list.
That was a very fun watch. And it's sad to say, even after your bad review, I'm gonna go and finish Unfrosted, and I'll probably sadly like it. I've gone on record saying I like bad movies. I have this weird enjoyment for watching movies others don't like, because I don't know. I find this interesting take on them. I don't know.
Hey, everyone has that's totally cool. Everyone has their own taste. People buy blueberry Pop-Tarts. I don't, but
I don't know what sick fuck does.
They don't exactly. They don't keep making them unless there's nobody buying them. I've only met one person, I think, that actually preferred blueberry over
serial killer, right?
Players. Yeah. And he's a Nazi. No, it's I don't know any Nazis.
They like to be called Proud Boys these days, Dennis. He's proud of eating his blueberry Pop-Tarts.
Oh, gross. But yeah, no, that's that'll do it for us, folks. I think. If you liked what we had to say, if you didn't like what we had to say, we got a few landing spots for you to go voice your opinion. We're over on the Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And if you're probably watching us there right now, likely hop over to one of the other platforms and give us a follow. There's little bits of fun, toasty goodness to be spread around all over the place. It also keeps you up to date on what we're up to and what events we may be attending. Maybe Comic-Con, if you're going, we might see you there. Just have to wait and see. Follow us on the accounts, and you'll hear more.
Or if you want a hot tip on a little event we're guaranteed to be at that you can go to for free without leaving your house, we have something coming your way in December. Movie Toast, the festival. Season 4.
I didn't realize you're teeing me up. Sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. I'm like, I know we normally tag team, but I know you're pretty good at promoting this, and I'm always like, whatever. But I know, we always have every year for the past 4 years a online film festival of short films, 15 minutes or less, interesting stuff that the Toasties have made, things that maybe have played at other festivals, maybe haven't. And just very fun, enjoyable things, all different genres. We've had experimentals, we've had music videos, we've had trailers, we've had dramas, comedies, action, horror, all these different
any genre,
things
honestly, you could think of. Yeah. This is not a place where it's getting like whittled down to like one or two types of things. We're not watching like 17 comedies in a row. It's one of the coolest things, just the broad spectrum of stuff that people are willing to send in. And this is the kind of things we love highlighting, because you never know what will be that next inspiration for you in your creative journey. And this is a great place to check that out. And then we just have fun watching movies together. And it's fun getting to show give some big props to some hardworking filmmakers, people who are just trying to work on their craft, share their art with the world. So please join us for this season's festival. It's going to be another good one.
If you got a film or know someone who has a short film, tell them or yourself to head over to filmfreeway.com/Movie Toast of the Festival, or just search Film Freeway and check out Movie Toast the Festival over there. And if you don't believe how fun it is, there are reviews on the page talking about how much fun the previous people who have been in the have shown their films talking about it. And speaking of reviews, we always give reviews on this show, but we would love to hear your review of our show wherever you get it, preferably over on Apple Podcasts. If you could leave us a review, saying we're great, saying we're decent, saying we're shitty. Whatever you feel, we want to hear. We want to hear your voice, folks. Please let us know what you like and what you don't like, because we want this show to be tight, toasty, crispy, golden, and just right for you.
That's absolutely right, Adam. Toasties, please leave that review. And if you got nothing else, at the very least, please stay toasty. And I'm excited, Adam. Oh my gosh, here it is, folks.
Oh boy.
The premiere of our new closing credit song, thanks to movie toaster Adam over here.
Oh, that's the old one. Oh boy.
Oh, misfire. Okay, here we go. Let's try it one more time. Sorry. Now, here is the new.
I like that.
They're the kings of the real. Reviewing new movies, they keep it real. Coast to coast, from LA to the east. On the podcast show, they feast on the beast. Adam's bringing knowledge like he's Professor X. Dennis with cuts deeper than Wolverine's claws. I guess Marvel, DC, they know them all by heart. Breaking down the plot, tearing every scene apart. They got the juice like Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Breaking down movies with a sharp precision. Adam coming in hot like a John Wick hit. Dennis bringing the heat like the climax of a Tarzan flick.
I feel like it's really long. You don't think that was long enough?
I said it was fine. I didn't say it was.
I feel like it's kind of long. I thought you're like, oh man, it's kind of short.
No, I didn't say that. No, I said it's. Okay. I said the length right where it's at is good. That's a good.
Okay.
If anything, yeah, I don't want it longer or shorter. It gives you give it enough. I was gonna say I now want to live the rest of my life like the climax of a Tarzan movie, coming in hot.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hot, like the climax
now,
of a
like
Tarzan
you said,
movie.
If you leave us a review, tell us if you fucking hate that song or if you like it, or let us know on social media.
No, I don't want to hear it. I love it. Suck it up and deal with it, folks. You've been listening to the same closing fucking theme song for too long. This is so awesome. So much fun. Good call, Adam.
I'm happy you liked it. I was afraid you were going to be like, that sucks. Never.
No, it's an era of evolution. We're just moving forward. That was a great one. Great one, man.
Hey, speaking of The Circle, have you caught up? Have you finished that reality show yet? Oh man. Yeah. What do you think about this season? I really like that we spent more time with these characters. People I hated in the beginning, I kind of liked more.
What's funny? This is the season I think I liked the least characters. The winner was my favorite. I'm so glad he won.
I liked the winner. Deserved it.
And
I like the way you put that. You didn't spoil anything.
I realized as I was saying, it's like, you know what? That still works. I did. The format was weird. I kind of liked the character turnover. I like the player turnover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We gave up on the AI way too fast. And
agreed.
We should have had more around the and bring more people in and out. I feel like we got and then we didn't get our host. She wasn't there.
Yeah,
ever.
At the very end. Yeah, that was kind of weird. That was awkward.
I was just like, I didn't like how it went too fast. They didn't have their little like dinner together.
Yeah.
I liked all the little steps. There were so many.
Yeah, actually spending time getting to know, reminisce about the show.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it, but it's not the strongest season.
I agree.
We cheaped out. We cheaped out a little bit, in my opinion. We had to bring the budget down to keep the show alive.
Well, you got to keep good movies like Unfrosted and Rebel Moon afloat. So you got to cut budgets elsewhere.
Sorry.
Anyways,
giving you the Zack Snyder cut.
But did you really quick? I'm sorry. I know we got to wrap this up. But what's your take? Did you hear the news that Sigourney Weaver is possibly going to join Grogu and Mando in their big screen debut?
Actually, that I missed, but why the fuck not? She's only one of the most badass like sci-fi action stars of all cinema history. That I feel like that's a natural marriage between her and the Star Wars series. That's awesome.
100%. Yeah,
love to hear that.
And also living in the world of sci-fi movies and badass females. One of the movies that I'm excited for that's been in the ether for a while is a remake of Barbarella starring the it girl of the moment, Sydney Sweeney. And there's been some serious talks coming up that Edgar Wright might be directing that. I'm kind of excited. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That'd be a wild one. I'm curious what would be left what a modern version of that would look like now, because there's a lot of shit.
I don't know. I feel like you can't do a lot of that.
Fly, but maybe not. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
And yeah,
keep our ear to the fucking tracks on that one.
Right. But no, thank you very much, watcher who's been here the whole time, and listeners. And if you do listen, go over to YouTube and watch the show live. See us live performing this every other Sunday, or Monday, whatever it is. Oh boy, I just missed it. I'm sorry, I didn't know that we had people saying hi in here. I feel bad. I wasn't in the chat, but you were, right? It looks like you were.
I got it nailed down. We're good. I got it manned.
Thank God someone's there. And thank you, Frog42098, for checking this out. And
appreciate it.
I guess hit the old in stream.
Until next time, Toasties.
Stay toasty.